Okay, do we have any commissioners who are joining virtually? Okay, that must be it. That's the number, that's not. Lance, are you on the line?
You're now joining the meeting.
You got a new puppy.
Lance, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great, thanks.
So I touch base and get things in.
This meeting is being recorded and or transcribed.
Okay, so we find because I actually have.
If you want to scoot over, you can. Lance is joining virtually.
Oh my gosh, there's
Hey, what I do to put on mute?
not a problem.
Okay.
What was that, Lance?
What do I do to put it mute myself?
Are you on your phone?
Yeah.
Can you mute your phone? Are you on an iPhone?
Yeah.
If you click the telephone icon, you should see a button that says mute.
She's actually perfect. The other two, terrible. This one just is like, looks around, Harley for us, I'm like, are we sure there's nothing wrong with her?
You think we might be good at this one now? More not.
I'm not.
You know, you gotta be pretty good if you're actually paying attention and figuring out whose initials are, who might be speaking.
We're good to go.
We're ready to go? I call this meeting to order and wish all the commissioners Merry Christmas and all of our guests Merry Christmas and welcome to our meeting. The first item is the approval of the agenda that we all picked up coming in or received before the meeting. Is there a motion that we approve the agenda as presented?
So moved. Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Next item is the approval of the minutes from our November 15th, 2021 meeting, and we received those several days ago. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes as they were presented to us? If there are none, is there a motion that we approve the minutes from the November 15th meeting?
So moved.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The minutes are approved. We've added a number 4 to our, I guess I should have pointed this out when we were approving the agenda. We have a conflict on January the 17th, which is our scheduled date. It's, is that Martin Luther King Day? So we need to reschedule that meeting. I don't know if the commissioners have calendars handy, but I think normally when this situation occurs, we move it to the Thursday of the same week, which in this case would be the 20th of January. Lance, is that you? Does anybody have a problem with rescheduling the January meeting to the 20th? If not, let's just make a note that the meeting will be on the 20th. Thank you. Next item is the administrative approvals. We've received a copy of that. It's been approved administratively, but if anybody has any question about that, this would be time to ask your question, make a comment. If not, we move to the public hearings. The first hearing schedule is for case 661, Melissa Williams at 423 North 15th Street. It is a contributing residence building, and the request is to demolish the house, and the second part of, excuse me, of the request is to build a new house. And we all understand the criteria for making a decision about demolition. Joel Little has recused himself. He owns property that is close enough to this house that he needs to recuse himself. So Kate, will you take us through this, please?
Okay, so for case number 661, the address of the property is 423 North 15th Street. The applicant requests approval to demolish the existing building and build a new single-family home. The existing building was built circa 1940 and is described in the Historic Resource Inventory Survey as a frame, minimal traditional style building. The building is listed as contributing in the Jefferson-Madison Historic District. The applicant has provided a structural report prepared by Mark Watson that was commissioned in 2020, and that was included in your packet. So several of you commissioners are used to the demolition criteria, but just so that we're all familiar, the commission must first discuss and vote on the demolition of the existing building. If it's approved, that approval is contingent on the approval of plans for new construction on the lot. The criteria for demolition are found in section 5427 of the historic preservation portion of our municipal code. When considering the demolition of a landmark or a resource within a residentially zoned district, the commission shall consider the following. The commission shall consider the individual, architectural, cultural, and/or historical significance of the resource. The commission shall consider the importance or contribution of the resource to the architectural character of the district. The commission shall consider the importance or contribution of the resource to neighboring property values. The commission shall consider the difficulty or impossibility to reproducing such a resource because of its texture, design, material, or detail. The applicant proposes that the existing building no longer retains structural integrity, and the structural report provided by the applicant notes many issues with the building, both structural and cosmetic. And I'm sure you all read the structural report, but you saw in the recommendations, the structural engineer did list out all of the items that would need to be replaced to ensure that the house is structurally sound. And then at the end of that structural report, there was another email from the applicant stating that in February 2020, the water was turned back on at this building without the owner's knowledge. I'm not sure how long it was on, but a lot of water was pushed into the house at that time. So you guys will consider those criteria and vote on the demolition, and then if that's approved, you'll move on to the plans for new construction. The applicant proposes a new single-family home, and they would be purchasing a portion of the neighboring property to be combined with the existing lot, and there was a plan showing that in the packet, and then a new building will be constructed on that altered lot. The commission must consider several factors when approving new construction in the historic district. The design guidelines dictate that new construction should respect and enhance the visual character of the district through compatibility in location, design, and material without duplicating existing buildings. The proposed house features craftsman-style detailing, and the proposed materials, brick, veneer, asphalt shingle, roof with metal porch roofs, etc., are frequently approved in the historic district. The Historic Preservation Ordinance and Oxford Design Guidelines are meant to preserve, enhance, and perpetuate the historical, cultural, and architectural fabric of the city. So staff recommends that the building is retained and rehabilitated according to the design guidelines. However, the commission may choose to find demolition acceptable in light of the condition of the property, particularly its structural condition. In that case, staff finds the proposed design acceptable according to the design guidelines, and staff recommends approval of the new house with the condition that the window specifications are provided to ensure there'll be true or simulated divided light. That's a requirement of the guidelines that wasn't addressed in the packet. I'm happy to answer any questions that y'all have about the staff report. The applicant, Melissa, is here, and her architect, Robin Red, is also on the line if we have questions about the design.
Thank you, Kate.
And Robin, if there's any specific pages of your packet that you'd like to go to, we can also do that.
Okay, I'm here.
The first step for the commission is to consider the request for demolition of this house. Kate has gone through the criteria, and that is to consider the individual architectural, cultural, and historical significance of the house. It falls within the 1840 to 1950 time frame of protected structures. The next part is the importance or the contribution of the resource to the architectural character of the district. And an interesting phrase that I saw in the write-up was houses like this are referred to as infill in existing neighborhoods that took place when this house was built. And I think we all recognize the fact that this house or this architecture can really be found in a lot of places in Oxford, in historical districts, and in other areas that are not historic. There are a lot of houses like this on Price Street, and I'm sure other places as well. So it, in fact, is part of the fabric of the architecture of Oxford. It fits that criteria. The importance or contribution to neighboring property values, I wouldn't think that it contributed to property values. And the difficulty or impossibility to reproduce the house as we're seeing it now, to restore it to what it originally looked like. And yes, we've read the report and we understand that that would be extensive, but not impossible to accomplish. And the staff recommends that the house is retained and rehabilitated based on the Oxford design guidelines. So with all that before us, the floor is open for conversation, for questions or discussion about the house, and we're happy to have you with us. Thank you, and the architect. So at any point, some of these questions or comments certainly will be directed to one or the other of you. So.
I forget to mention, and it's probably important to note for the record, that there were several letters of support from neighbors in support of Melissa's application, and we did not receive any letters requesting that the commission deny that application.
And the email today, too.
Yes.
Yeah, we received numerous letters of support from contiguous neighbors and nearby neighbors supporting the demolition and the approval of the house that is being proposed. So, comments? Are there concerns from any commissioner about demolition for any reason? Lance, you're there. I'm sure if you want to comment.
I'm here. I'm in favor of the demolition. I don't have any questions.
Okay. Hearing no comments, hearing no concerns about demolition of this property. And you know, I think it's significant that we appreciate the staff's recommendation, because I do believe that looking at the criteria, that there's certainly the option of restoring this house, but based on comments or lack of comments from the commission, it appears that there's no objection to that.
I just wanted to ask, did y'all look at any design options to work with the existing house in the addition?
No, we did not.
My name is Kurt Milo. I'm the neighboring landowner. Yeah, sorry. My name is Kurt Milam. My wife and I are the owners of this house. We live next door. I moved in 1999 when the Bevels were living here. They both passed away in 2011, 2012, at which time their kids kept saying they were going to move back and redo it, and kept saying and never did, and they finally said, we want to sell the property, and it was important to us to try to make it to where it's not a rental house. But in looking at what our options were, we did look at it, and the first step was to have Mark come do a structural, design. There is no support under the house. It's the whole foundation is sitting on jacks, as well as the exterior foundation is all cracked. I think what Mark told me when he looked at it was maybe 10% of that exterior wall of the foundation could be kept. No footings. There were no footings on my house before I redid it. I don't know why they built it that way, but they did. And the other point is, when the city turned on the water, they ran 55,000 gallons worth of water through the house. It was right after the snowstorm. The water flowed out of this house, under my house, and both are subject of a dispute with the contractor. But that was a lot more water, which we thought was coming from the neighbor behind us, but ultimately wasn't. So it's gotten a lot worse since Mark's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirk.
I'm really torn about this because I do think this is a contributing house, and I think, as a commission, we've worked hard to separate between contributing and non-contributing. So I just think, these little Levittown houses that, are kind of in the fabric of our downtown are important, and I understand needing something larger and more updated. I guess, I would like to see an option that you work with the existing house, and yes, it needs work, but I think it's still salvageable at this point. So I guess with that, I'm not sure that I support a demolition without some investigating to see if it's possible to work with the existing structure moving forward.
Okay.
Thanks, Virginia. Any other comments? I think this is really a tough one. It's not an antebellum mansion, but it's a significant part of the fabric of our community. Would you consider what Virginia has suggested, and that is exploring what would be involved? We've seen the report from the structural engineer, and we know that a lot is involved, but you're suggesting carrying it a little further.
Well, I was just curious if, it's an option to do the addition or with the existing house. I understand it's a small house and it's, not really feasible for how we live today, and I'm just wondering if there's an option that includes working with the existing house.
So that would be the question.
It's not particularly the size of the home, and we just felt once that we saw the structural engineer's report and have seen the home itself and have personally walked through it, looked under it, did not feel that there was enough there to work with to be able to go from the existing home to something new.
And just because the question needs to be asked, was that your opinion, or was that the opinion of a professional builder?
Well, it was the opinion of the structural report that we had gotten from Mr. Watson.
Okay.
That was submitted with the application.
Right. Well, I think we read that more as a structural engineer just telling us what was there, not so much about, can it be restored or improved.
Yeah, Robin here.
Yes. Go ahead.
Hey, Hey, just my general comment on the house. Most of what I do is recyclable work. New houses are historic districts.
I'm sorry, you're fading in and fading out. I don't know if that has anything to do with the device you're using, but please start that statement again.
Oh, is that better?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, sorry. I was just saying that most of what I do is addition, renovation work on old houses, historic district type work. Rarely do I ever think it's appropriate to tear any of these down. And this house, just given the structural report, when I went through that, we're essentially, if we keep that house, we're essentially going to have to go back and put exactly what's there back and then modernize it. It just seems like a whole lot of effort for nothing, considering the condition that it's in. Now, most of the time, 9.5 times out of 10, I'm going to try to work with them as much as I can because I respect the integrity and what it contributes to the town. But this one is pretty far gone. So that's why we didn't do any serious study on how to keep it, because it seems like it's kind of a lost cause.
Okay, technical terms, pretty horrible and lost cause.
And what Mark told me and Virginia, you may have worked with Mark in the past, but what he told me when he was there, looking at it, was he said, the siding's completely rotten, the roof's got to go, you can save a small piece of the foundation maybe, and the floor joists all have to go, and, so you're only going to be able to save the studs, and of course the windows are rotten as well, but that's just the studs and a little piece of cinder block, and I don't know, that's what I say.
Okay, thank you all. Are there any other comments?
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, Ben.
Virginia, to your point about working with the existing design, I just want to bring it to the commission's attention. If you look in your packet, you'll see a survey of the property with the dimensions, and I think it's worth noting that the commission typically encourages additions on the rear, to the side, and so keep in mind the context of this particular lot as well. They have about 5 feet to work with on the back side of the house before you hit the rear setback, and then I don't know how much. I think right now they're about 13 feet from the side, but they're in the process of acquiring, or maybe have already acquired, property from the adjacent property owner. So this lot, which is 0.116 acres, will probably be closer to I think maybe 0.15 roughly.
It'll be 80 by 80, which is exactly.
So I think that's worth your consideration here too, in the limitations that this lot presents itself to additions.
Well, sort of stepping forward into the new house that's proposed, if there's limitation because of the size of the lot, how does the bigger house fit on it?
Because I believe that they're planning to build closer to the street than what the existing house is right now, whereas if you're working with that existing house, that would be one of the challenges, and Virginia more than anybody would appreciate that, and the challenge associated with that. So I just want to bring that to y'all's attention.
Thank you. Is there any other comment or question? I think we've heard the status of the existing structure and the challenges involved in restoring the house. So if there's no objection, I think it's time to bring it to a vote. Is there a motion that we approve the demolition of the house at 423 North 15th Street?
So moved.
Lance has made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second has been made. The motion and a second are made. Any additional comments or questions? If not, all in favor of approving the demolition of this house, please signify by saying aye.
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 3, I join. 4 in favor, all against?
Aye.
1 against. The motion carries. The next part of this request is the construction of a new property that we've seen the renderings and the plans for. Also, all the letters that we received included approval of the intended new construction. Let's talk about it for a bit. The staff has added a condition to the proposal having to do with the windows, that they would require seeing specs on the windows before the final approval is made.
And that shouldn't be a big deal. It's normally a part of the construction plans, so,
Yeah.
which come to us for approval when we get a building.
So the floor is open for comments or questions related to the proposed new construction for the site.
What's the square foot difference in the current houses in this one? I didn't see it on here.
You know, I do not know the square footage of the existing home. I don't know this.
Square footage of the existing structure that's there?
And both houses.
The new one is a little over 2,800 square feet.
And what's the existing?
Existing footprint, I think, is 1,000. I mean, it's the exact same size as mine. Before we redid it, I think it was 1,000 on the footprint.
So Ben, you think there's room for 1,800 additional square feet on this lot that you think was awfully small?
It's going to be tight.
I'm sorry.
On that second floor.
It will certainly be tight. We do have regulations related to impervious coverage, and I do have some concerns as I see it from the size of what is being proposed in the driveway. I think it's my understanding that they're proposing to use some pervious pavers or some mechanism of pervious driveway materials, which will help reduce that, but that is a concern of the total lot coverage. I have not seen a calculation that shows what that lot coverage for the new proposal is.
Would we be acting prematurely to approve this without knowing that?
No, I think, the design as presented is still subject to any of the requirements from a planning standpoint, and they would not be able to move forward with a building permit at that time if they come back and, they could come back with any changes, as Kate just wrote me a note. They could come back with any changes, but we would have to work through that. It's common for us to, whether it's somebody that's inside the historic district or not, to work with this, and so we sometimes have concrete patios that get changed to brick patios. Or
Yeah, but I think we were just talking about the internal square footage.
I think it's tight, but all depends on the numbers, and I haven't seen them as opposed to for the design that you're looking at. I mean, I still think it's within your prerogative to be able to.
Okay. Well, at the risk of belaboring the point, if it doesn't fit, then they've got to come back and get another approval for a house that would look different than this one we're looking at now.
That's correct.
Hey, can I chime in? We got almost 1,000 square feet tucked in the second floor. We have design.
Yes, President.
So it's actually, it's only, 1,800 or so square feet on the ground.
Hey,
And
Robin,
a
could you
lot
say that
coverage
first part
we're-
again?
Oh, sorry, I know my phone
Could
is
you speak
doing
maybe
something
slowly?
weird. What I was saying is that the lot coverage, we're well under the requirement for that, and our almost 1,000 square feet of the house is actually tucked on the second floor in the story and a half design. So we're only in about 1,800 square feet on the first floor. So the house, we have a lot of square footage in a pretty small footprint, relatively speaking.
Hey, Robin, could you, since you say that you're well below lot coverage, can you tell me what percentage you're at the moment?
Oh goodness, hang on. I had it earlier. Oh shoot! Don't let me lie to you.
That's all right.
Hang on 1 second.
That's okay.
Well, I don't
I can tell you, but it's
realize it was 2 stories. I just heard 2,800 square feet as a footprint, but evidently that's livable space.
yeah, our footprint is only about 2,800. It's only about 1,800 conditioned square footage.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments about the question of approval for the new structure? If not, is there a motion that we approve this with the addendum of the window issue that the staff has cited?
I'm sorry, I did have a question. The roof line that kind of just stops and then it goes down, is there, just looking at it from the front, it just kind of looks odd. I didn't know if there could bring it all the way over, or I'm also not an architect, so.
Which part of the roof line?
So where it comes all the way across and then it goes down and then over on the right side.
Okay, on the very top. I'm sure we could talk to Robin and see. I mean, if that was
just looking at it from I'm thinking looking at it from a street. I mean, it just looks odd to me that it's not all the way over. But again, I don't do this for a living either, so.
right.
I also think
I didn't hear the question.
it's a 2D, you're looking at it in 2D, and I think if it was, you saw the side elevation, it probably makes more sense.
Okay.
Is there a side elevation we could look at?
Yes, there is.
There we go. So the high peak is, sloped back away from the street, if I'm looking at it correctly.
There's the rear, and then there's the other side.
Are there any other comments about the plans?
Does Lance have any questions? I'm gonna ask if Lance has any questions.
Lance, do you have any questions about the proposed new structure?
I don't. I asked Ben about the use of the brick veneer as a percentage of the exterior, and because I think most of those houses over there, I know the one across the street's brick, but most of those houses are wood, or has the wood exterior. And Ben didn't see a problem with it. I don't know if it matters or not, but I was thinking it might blend in better with the neighborhood if it had more of a wood exterior.
Is that an issue that was of concern to you, or would you consider another texture on the exterior?
We're happy to try and work with you in any way we can. So if that's a concern for you, then certainly we're happy to go back and come up with something that would make that easier for y'all.
Does anybody?
It may be just me. I don't know, but I just thought it would blend in better with the neighborhood. Even though that house across the street is a small, all brick house, it looks out of place to me. The house across the street. It's just me.
But it's not a painted brick, it's a natural brick.
What we're proposing would be a painted brick.
Oh, it would be painted, okay.
Oh, it doesn't say that.
Oh, does it not? Okay, okay.
So topic is the facade of the house, the finish. It seems that the proposal is for painted brick, which does kind of make a difference. I don't know that they're painted brick houses in this area, are there?
I drove the street today and most of them are wood siding. Lance is right that there is painted brick across the street. In other areas of the city, you know, the commission has approved painted brick for new construction, but it would be a first for the block, at least. I can't say for the whole street, but I don't remember seeing any painted brick on the street.
Is this a concern of any other commissioner? Lance has spoken to it. We could consider that as a separate question here if needed.
Does it need to be in the plan for us to approve or not approve it?
You'd have been the COA request to incorporate painted brick.
It would need to be part of what we approved, I
It could be
believe.
a part of the motion to approve painted brick.
Okay.
We've approved painted brick on new houses.
And my concern would just be on the street and in the, you know, eye shot of it, and I understand across the street, or I'm understanding from what you just said that there's a painted brick.
A street over there is, I mean, JD's house is painted brick.
I'm 14th, there are several over there.
Yeah.
And then I think on the opposite side, on the south side of 14th, there's some painted brick structures on that side.
Well, we appreciate your willingness to work with the city to come up with something that works for everybody. But right now, I think we should see if there's enough concern about painted brick to consider it as a separate issue here. Lance has expressed concern. Is there anyone else on the commission that has an opinion or feels strongly about that? Well, Lance, it sounds like you are in a minority on your concerns about the brick, and there doesn't seem to be any concern about the painted brick. So, any other comments about this? If not, is there a motion that we approve the plans as presented? Again, with the window issue resolved to the city's satisfaction. And does the COA need to be changed in any way to address the painted brick?
As long as your motion reflects that it's painted brick, I think that's fine.
Okay, well, the motion then would include that fact. Is there that motion?
Are you saying there's a possible motion on the floor to make that a condition?
Well, yeah, I think just based on what we're hearing, that the intention, the thinking right now is that the homeowner would like to paint, and first of all, that it is a brick exterior finish, and that it would be painted. So the motion that I'm asking, if one is coming forward, would include painted brick. I need a motion from a commissioner, please.
So moved.
Is there a second to that motion?
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any other comments or questions? Anybody in the audience?
Or online.
Pardon?
Or online.
The floor is open. All ears. If anyone has a comment or question, now is your time. If not, all in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Next case, public hearing is for case number 662. It is it's a case that we did a complimentary review in September of 2019, and we gave approval for practically all of this in December of this year.
That is not correct.
That is not correct. Yeah, I'm looking at my own notes and I'm like,
It was also in 2019. Yeah, that's.
okay. So
Thank you.
we've done a complimentary review, extensive remodeling
Yeah.
in the rear of this house. They now come forward asking for a little additional, an addition, which is primarily an outdoor kitchen. Kate, you have any details you want to share with us?
That's just a foreshadow of me running 2021 on all the reports for like 3 months in the new year.
Well, when I read it out loud, something about that didn't sound right.
Yeah. As Jack mentioned, this is basically a renewal of a previously approved COA from 2019. The applicant received approval to build a new rear addition. They came in for a complimentary review, and then some of the roof line was reworked to include, that sort of like hyphen area in between the new, the old house and the new addition. And other than, the only thing that's changed since the previously approved plans is the addition of an outdoor kitchen. And the necessary exhaust hood and chimney will be stuccoed to match the rest of the house, according to the project architect. So staff recommends approval of the COA as proposed, as the design still meets the Oxford design guidelines, as we found previously. And Stuart Povall is here, if anyone has questions for him, the architect on the project.
Thank you for coming.
I'm happy to come out to the meeting.
This one seems pretty simple, but please come.
Oh, I don't need to speak unless y'all need me to. It's just basically a renewal except for the... Hey, I'm Stuart Paval. It's basically just a renewal except for the little addition of the kitchen. I don't know what happened. I think hard time getting a builder that could take it on, COVID, I don't really know. But
Are there any questions or comments, concerns about this request for the outdoor kitchen? I hear nothing. Anything from the audience? I see nothing. With no questions or comments, is there a motion that we approve this addition to the already approved COA?
So moved.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and second. I'm sorry, Lance? Did you have?
I just coughed. No.
Then we will vote on this. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? None opposed. The motion carries. Thank you. Any other business from any commissioner? If not, I'll accept a motion that this meeting be adjourned.
So moved.
Thank you, Lance. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Merry Christmas, everybody.